Anyway, in a regime that you may have recalled, it was about 5 years ago when Laura Bush was the first lady of the land. She came and visited Homeboy Industries. Now, she was visiting around the country, a variety of after-school programs, mentoring programs and such. We were the only gang intervention program she visited. And the Secret Service determined that the headquarters at Homeboy was too porous to be secured. So they decided that this visit had to take place at the Homeboy Silkscreen factory, which is a factory kind of off campus, if you will. And the day of her visit, it was unbelievable. Bomb-sniffing dogs, sharpshooters on the roofs of all the surrounding factories, sharpshooters in the rafters of the building aimed at the homies whenever the homies were walking. These guns were pointed at them. It was incredible. Well, 2 weeks before the visit, the head of the Secret Service division, a kind of a Clint Eastwood type looking guy, came to me and said, "Father, only 50 people can be a part of this thing." Well, I had 400 and plus people, and I thought, oh gosh, really? Yeah, only 50. So you're going to have to make a list. Their names, their birth dates, their social security numbers. So we decided to declare undocumented worker day off day on that day. We'll see you the following day. And so I compiled my list, and I handed it to Clint. And 2 days later, he shows up, and he's hemming and hawing and looking more severe than I recall him looking. And he's going, "Wow, yeah, Father, these people have records," he says to me, like this news might come as a surprise to me, And I said, "Well, at Homeboy Industries, it's sort of the idea, So anyway, the visit went off without a hitch, and everybody felt quite good about themselves. Well, 3 months later, I get a phone call from the White House, a staffer in the First Lady's office, and she says, "Father Boyle, Mrs. Bush is sponsoring a national conference at Howard University in Washington, D.C. called Helping America's Youth. And people are coming from all over the country. And she would like you to be one of the 3 keynote speakers." I said, "Gosh, I'd be honored." "Oh, by the way, I almost forgot. Mrs. Bush would like you to bring 3 homies with you." Now, whether the First Lady of the United States used the H word, I can't be certain. And she said afterwards, a select group of participants, not everybody, but a select group of participants will go into the White House afterwards for dinner. Now, certainly crooks have resided in this house before, but it may well be the first time gang members have ever stepped foot in there. So I went in search among my 427 workers for 3 of the most menacing-looking gang members I could, just to mess with the White House a little bit. How many opportunities do you get to do that, So I picked Gabriel, Gus, and Herbie. And 3 guys have been to prison, large vatos who do a variety of things for me, and they'd never been on a plane. They had never been to D.C., of course. And so I call them in and I said, "Hey, you're going to the White House for dinner, so you can't exactly wear size 85 waist Dickies. We're going to have to get you suits. Of course, where are you going to go?" "Men's Warehouse. You're going to like the way you look, I guarantee it, Well, that guy wasn't there. But we walk into the Burbank Men's Warehouse, myself and these 3, and I swear to you, every single solitary salesperson rushes us at the door as if to say, "Now how may we help the 3 of you leave our store as quickly as possible?" I said, "Well, they're having dinner at the White House," and yeah, right, sure. So they dispatch them into dressing rooms, and I'm out there picking through ties, and the first of our group, Gabriel, appears, and he's in a perfectly fitted light gray suit, and he's standing in front of a 6-sided mirror, just staring at himself, mouth wide open. Now, Gabriel at the time was about 25 years old. He doesn't work for us anymore. He's moved on to bigger and better things. He was, into his neighborhood. His gang was tattooed clear across his neck, filling the entire space from jawbone to collarbone to ear, also on his face. He had many tattoo removal treatments. Married, 3 kids. He did a lot of things for us, but he was mainly our premier tour guide. And nobody gave better tours. We get about 5 to 10 tours a day at Homeboy. So he would wait for you at the front door, and he'd greet you with his $1 million smile. And he'd introduce you to the job developers, and he'd hand you goggles so you could watch tattoos being removed on the premises. He'd hand you a hairnet so you could watch enemy rival gang members baking bread together. He'd take you into the cafe and tell you what his favorite dishes were. He gave great tours, but quite apart from his ability to give a tour was the nature and quality and character of his heart. Golden, pure, innocent, though the packaging might suggest otherwise. In fact, the day won't ever come when I am more noble or have more courage or am closer to God than this guy Gabriel. So I walk up to him, I tap him on his shoulder. "Are you okay?" And he doesn't take his eyes off the guy in the suit. And he says, "Damn, gee, I'm already pinching myself." Like he can't believe he's in a suit. Can't believe he's headed to the White House. Well, I bought the tickets months in advance, but 2 weeks before we're scheduled to go, I don't know what compelled me. I call him in, only Gabriel. I sit him down, I said, "Hey, did you ask permission of your parole officer to go to Washington, D.C.? He goes, Of course I did." I said, "Good, I'm just checking." "Yeah, she said no." I go, "Gabriel, when are we going to get around to telling me this?" "Well, I wasn't going to tell you. I was afraid you wouldn't let me go." Like a little kid, I go, "Mikkel, we got to do this the right way. You sit down. What's the number?" So with him there, I call this woman. I give the spiel. Howard University, conference, national, suits, dinner, White House, First Lady. And the woman says, "Nope, high control." High control parole, which means, of course, a hypervigilance. He's not going anywhere. I said, "Gosh, could I talk to, your supervisor?" She transfers the call, and I give the spiel one more time. And when I'm finished, he says, "No way, this is a high control parolee." I said, "Wow, is there somebody like a notch above you?" And sends me to the notch guy, and I give the spiel one more time. And the guy says, "Let me be really clear with you. This guy is not leaving the state of California. He is a high control parolee." And they all seem to be having a very bad case of, "And Gabriel, who exactly did you think you were that you get to go to the White House for dinner?" Well, faxes and emails and phone calls from the Department of Justice and the White House and the First Lady's office. And finally, the day before we're scheduled to fly, Gabriel gets permission from his parole officer to go. We were going to go anyway, but I find that permission is preferable, though not necessary. So we leave on a Tuesday, and it's mishap after mishap. The homies are all late, so we're suddenly in bumper-to-bumper traffic on our way to LAX. I turn to nobody in particular. "Hey, did all of you remember to bring your IDs?" Silence. A lone voice from the back seat. "Shit." It's Gus. We have to go back and get his ID. Well, we left on a Tuesday, and we stayed with my brother and his wife in D.C., and did all the touristy things Tuesday, all day Wednesday. But Thursday was the day of the conference, the day of the dinner, the day of the suits, the day of the White House dinner. And it was on Thursday in the early morning darkness that we discovered that apparently poor old Gabriel, when he was running to my car Tuesday in the early morning darkness, that he had his bag over one shoulder and his Men's Warehouse suit over the other, covered in plastic, open at the bottom. And as he ran to my car, the movement jostled the pants, and they slithered off the hanger, and they fell unbeknownst to him somewhere on the sidewalk or in the gutter. And some homeless man is liking the way he looks, I guarantee it. And Gabriel in the darkness of Thursday morning in my brother's house, you could hear this plaintive cry, "I don't got no pants." So thank God for my cuñada, my sister-in-law. She was able to jerry-rig a pair of my brother's pants. He looked fine. Nobody noticed. And so the conference is over, and the sun is setting, and we walk into the White House, myself and these three guys. Suits, ties, tattoos. And there are butlers walking down the halls with trays of long-stem glasses of white wine. And the homies are snatching those puppies as quickly as they can. And there are string quartets and little brass combos in the red room, in the green room, in the blue room, and all the different colored rooms. And it's elegant. And the gold room is where all the food is. It's this incredible buffet. It's a comilonga, as we say in Spanish. Never in my life have I had better food. It was utterly gourmet. It was. I went back like 9 times. A rack of lamb. It was just perfection. Salmon the size of Wisconsin. It had every imaginable food you could ever imagine. And at one point, probably my 7th visit, I'm standing there and Gabriel's standing next to me, and he eyeballs these white potatoes cut lengthwise with a hole carefully bore out in the middle, stuffed with caviar and a sprig of chive, and he pops that sucker in his mouth. Spits the mess into a napkin. "This shit tastes nasty!" And let me just say that he wasn't using his inside voice at the time. And was it me, or did the Secret Service lunge ever so slightly at precisely this exact moment? Anyway, this is why it's shaggy, because I told you all that to tell you this. The next day we're flying home, and we're in mid-country somewhere, and Gabriel says, "I got to go to the baño." I said, "Well, Miko, the bathroom's at the back of the plane." 45 minutes later, he comes back. "Oye, cabrón, ¿qué pasó? I thought you fell in, okay?" "Oh, I was just talking to that lady back there." And I turn around and I see the flight attendant standing by herself at the back of the plane. I made her cry. I hope that's okay. I go, "Gabriel, it might depend on what you actually said to this woman." "Well, she saw my Homeboy Industries shirt and she saw my tattoos. I don't know. She asked me a gang of questions. So I gave her a tour of the office at 34,000 feet. Gabriel walks this woman through the office, introduces her to the job developers, hands her goggles so she can watch tattoos being removed, hands her a hairnet so she can observe enemy gang members baking bread together. And I told her, last night we made history. For the first time in the history of this country, 3 gang members walked into the White House. We had dinner there. I told her the food tasted nasty. And she cried. I said, well, Gabriel, what you expect? She just caught a glimpse of you. She saw that you are somebody. She recognized you as the shape of God's heart. People cry sometimes when they see that. And suddenly kinship so quickly. 2 souls return to themselves. 2 souls feeling their worth. Flight attendant, gang member, 34,000 feet. It's mutual. That you may be one. For the vision still has its time, presses on to fulfillment, and it will not disappoint. And if it delays, wait for it. Thank you very much.